Are you looking for some tasteful humor to spice up your Insta feed? Then look no further. Check out Jo from Brikx, one of the ladies of Lego from across the pond. And she also has a YouTube channel, which I just found. Do better, Ninja. This was not a paid advertisement for the Cali Brick Clique, but I wanted to give Jo a shout out because she's a huge supporter of the community.
Oh, look, that's Sam.
He lives here too.
Last time I saw him, I think he was trying to wiggle his way into getting one of our million views gold bricks at
I'll bring us in 5, 4, 3. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Cali Brick Clique, episode 47. And before we get into the introductions, as always, remember you can find this episode and all previous episodes on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember you can actually watch the video ahead of schedule if you go to those areas as well. And like always, we have Claire the Plastic Architect.
Hello.
We got Ninja, Bricks Ninja, Ninja with the Bricks, whatever he wants to call himself today.
Any one of those.
Any one of those works. And today and this week, we have the one and only, beyond the brick himself, Joshua Hanlon. How's it going, man?
Hello, everyone. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on today. I appreciate it. It's always fun just to sit down and chat Lego and non-Lego things. Whatever comes up in the conversation here.
That's like our whole shtick.
That's the vibe I got from I haven't watched any full episodes, but I was flipping through a few, kind of seeing what was going on, and just bouncing around. That's all good.
Mm-hmm.
I can appreciate that.
Yeah.
He's like, "Where's the Lego talk? What is this? What's going on here?"
Very little Lego talk. But I'm building.
We listen to.
If you're into live streams with very little Lego talk, check out the 24-hour live stream coming up on Beyond the Brick.
Oh, I'm excited.
Yes, we'll be there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you want to talk about that, right, Click? Since we're on that subject, like, what is it? I know you do it all the time, or what's it for? All that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So for anyone who hasn't seen the 24-hour live stream that we do at Beyond the Brick, this is the 8th year actually this year. So we've done it quite a few years now. It's always super fun. It's always the Friday and Saturday after Thanksgiving here in the U.S. So this year we're doing it from noon Eastern time on Friday, I believe it's the 26th, to noon Eastern time on Saturday, the 27th. And we just stream live for 24 hours. We have tons of guests join us. Myself and Bricks O'Brien, Brian Saviano, who I think has been on this show. He and I will be on the full 24 hours, the full time, just battling off sleep, building what we can. Mostly just talking though, and then people join from all over the world, and then all of the money raised. We have a Tiltify campaign going right now where we're raffling off the brand new UCS AT-AT. So every $5 you donate to that campaign is an entry to win that set, and then all of that money goes to Creations for Charity, which is a charity that gives out Lego sets to kids, underprivileged kids in hospitals, places like that around Christmas every year.
Yes.
Wow.
It's all about giving back. That's right.
Right?
Very, very cool.
I like how he said that so clean. I wonder how many times we've said that so far.
It's been a similar pitch every year. So like I said, at the 8th year now, I've had a lot of experience.
I've tuned into these streams the past couple years, and I always tune in at the worst part for you, where you're dead. And I find that part the most interesting. In your eyes, we're just like, I want this to end right now.
Oh yeah. No, it's. I feel like 12 hours, like the last half, the second 12 hours. It's just pretty much the whole time. I'm just like, when does this end? But no, it's actually. Go ahead.
It was actually one of the first, in the first week that I ever really started watching Lego YouTube. It was Thanksgiving of last year. Okay. And I was recovering from minor surgery, and I was like, oh, let's just take a look and see what's going on. And it's you guys, Brian drinking pickle juice. Was that stream, or was that something else?
The spicy pickle challenge.
Yeah,
he did.
Exactly.
At the very end of it, we hit, I think it was $10,000 we'd raised in. He said if we hit 10,000, he would eat this spicy pickle that this friend of his cans and sends him in the mail or whatever. Ooh. And it was very intense. We have that. We took that clip out and posted it separately on the channel because it's very funny. If people want to go check it out from last year's stream. It's
very, very funny. Yeah, that was very cool. Very cool to watch that.
I mean, watching Bricks O'Brien like in a demise of any kind is pretty funny.
Yes.
Yes.
When he's in pain is when I most enjoy it.
Yeah. And it's like genuine though. It seems like it's like does not seem like forced. Like he did it again. He brought it to Brick Fair. He brought those pickles. They like go with him places. It's like he has to bring it now to like prove.
Oh, so is that where it comes from? Is that where it stems off of for Brick Fair, Virginia?
No,
yeah.
no. I don't know where he brought it, but like he gave it to Joey Maniac for Bricks, and I think he puked.
But it's the same friend of his who makes these, that he had on the stream and then like brought to Brick Fair and everything. Yeah.
I'm down to try one of these pickles. I just gotta say,
I'm down for that. It's all you, man. It's all you, dude.
I think you'd be fine. I actually think we'd all be fine.
Really?
Yeah. I took a sniff of them. I'm like, these are fine. But it doesn't matter. Him suffering is hilarious.
Well,
you have to understand, if in comparison to Indiana and Massachusetts, in California we have a lot of spicy food.
That is true.
And we're like all our taste buds are like totally numb.
It's all kind of jacked up right now, too. Well, aside from Brian eating hot stuff, how's everyone's week been?
Boy, she's eating. My internet is.
I'm just gonna awkwardly look.
Mine has been really. I sold my couch today.
The one that you were trying to sell forever?
Mm-hmm. No, I got the price that I wanted. I was like going back and forth. Apparently, like Facebook Marketplace now has like a delivery system that like buyers can like hire. So like the buyer didn't even come and check it, and there was like lots of little like scratch marks on it from the cat. So I spent like a couple hours today like cleaning it up, because like usually with Facebook Marketplace, I'm used to people coming, seeing, being like, yeah, okay, I'll take it. But that's like done, and I have the money in my Venmo, and oh well, like they get what they get. You know, it's the risk that they take, I guess. So
cold-blooded.
But yeah, that's my day. I'm very excited because
now we have room now, right?
I have room for we have room for a Christmas tree. That's what it means. That's it.
That's it. You sold your couch so you could put a Christmas tree.
No, it's the cat. No, we sold the couch because the cat was destroying it. That's why. Do
you have anywhere to sit now, or is it just the tree?
We had two couches. Okay. It was the futon that was in the second bedroom before the second bedroom was a Lego room.
Gotcha.
So it's due to be sold eventually, right?
Isn't it the couch you've been trying to sell on Facebook or something? Okay, yeah. It's gone.
Yeah, it's like a name brand, so it was like kind of easy to sell.
Oh, watch it.
Okay. So it wasn't IKEA furniture? No, sorry.
Those Gucci couches so quick.
No, it was Design Within Reach, which like my friend's dad used to call like design for the rich or something like that. But honestly, like it's IKEA couches are like $600, and
they are expensive.
They last like a year, and they like break. They like literally deform over time.
That is true.
I think this one was like, and futons are pretty expensive. I think this one was like $2,500, and it lasted like 4 or 5 years, and I sold it for $1,000. So,
boom.
So the AT-AT, that's where it's going to, right?
Sure.
All right, cool. Ninja?
I did figure out that the AT-AT can fit in that shelf right there.
So I already know you're getting it. So like, you're gonna put it on the shelf? Is it tall enough, or is the shelf wide enough? Or
don't you have to just like move the head?
It's like 2 feet, isn't it?
The head has to like stick out a little bit.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, but then these shelves are modular. Like I can just move.
That's right. You can move them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's right. Your what are those shelvings called in the bottom? No, like where you put your makeup and your parts and stuff. Right there.
Alex drawers. Those are over there. That's not these.
That's not those?
Yeah.
So how wide are those? Like how far do they come away from the wall?
Oh, like 13 inches.
Cool.
Not far enough.
No. That's what I'm saying. I'm assuming you're gonna put it like sideways, kind of.
At a diagonal.
At a diagonal point. Okay.
Cool. Oh no, this shelf is 14 inches deep. This one protrudes out for. Why are we going into this right now?
I don't know. This show needs some home decor sponsorships, like
I think
right
so.
away.
I think so.
Yes.
Here, yeah. Like here, I'll show you. This is like my whole. I have like a whole beautiful like shelf system. Yeah.
IKEA.
Yeah.
Hit us up, man.
Absolutely not. I can tell you that.
No,
she just badmouthed their couches.
That's true.
They're not going to sponsor you now.
I recommend
it's
a lot of their
corrective
products,
criticism,
but not that, not the couches. Waste of money.
That is true. I've gone through like 4 couches in 4 years. That I will. I have kids. I had a dog.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Kids.
It sounds
man.
like you need a microfiber couch.
There you go.
I mean, before Indigo passed, I mean, will that have saved husky hair all over a couch?
You can vacuum them and you can like clean them really easily. They like don't stain and like Anyway, it doesn't matter. We can get into it later.
You're like, let's get off this topic, but
We have a guest. We have a guest.
the show.
And we have to go pre-order Pokemon apparently today at GameStop.
Yes. Shout
All
out to
right.
the Poke nerds.
Ninja, how are you doing, bro?
Oh, I'm chilling. For some reason, my internet is being like super janky right now. It
You need to
keeps
switch to
lagging out.
fiber, dude. You need to get fiber.
Well, I don't have that option right now.
You don't? No, it's not
Yeah,
included.
they don't service this area, which is weird.
Yet.
We
Look at
literally
this.
had this conversation last week.
Right. Yeah.
It was more like a couple weeks ago.
I think it was the episode I was watching with Sai that you guys were, I think it was that one where you were talking
Yeah,
about the fire. I remember a conversation very
So
similar
John-
to this happening.
Josh is sitting here having deja vu. Like,
Right?
I think
We're
I've seen
totally
this.
messing him up right now.
You're just gonna get every guest's opinion on fiber internet and
What do
where
you
it needs
think?
to go.
I'm just
to
happy
in
that
the
I
US.
have it. All right.
You're just trying to show off, is what you're
It's
doing.
Yeah.
really
Flexing
annoying.
at
It's
this
like
point.
when you're like
Yes.
on keto or vegan or like you have fiber internet, you like don't shut up about it. It's like
No.
very,
What are your upload
I
speeds?
also have fiber and I don't stop talking about it. Yeah.
I was about to say, because I was about to call you out on that. Yeah.
Cold blooded. I'm over here dial up still. Whatever. It's all good. No, I'm just
All
kidding.
right. Well, I had a pretty eventful week. It was Veterans Week. I did so last week. I was kind of talking about I had like a speech to do, so I knocked that out, and that was fun. Got awards, which was dope. Leave that aside, but it was a good week. I had a like I wasn't. It wasn't as eventful that I had like as previous Marine Corps birthdays and Veterans Days as far as partying is concerned. I didn't really do anything. I just
Yeah.
worked and kind of just did that little ceremony and came back and worked and just enjoyed it with my family, which was fun.
I
So
seen the
You.
clip
Yeah.
that you posted on Instagram when
oh,
you're giving the speech. Dude, that was the perfect way to start that speech, man.
talking trash. I mean, that's what veterans
Yeah,
do. We
yeah.
talk trash to each other all the time, and not to put myself above like the politicians that were with me speaking before me. And you know how politicians are; they like to say what what they're doing for the community as far as like things being passed, fights that they're doing. I didn't talk about any of that, obviously, because I'm not linked to any of it. All I
Mhm.
did was talk to the veterans as if I'm talking to the veterans. So
Yeah.
talking trash about the Army. That's what I
Right.
do. Navy, Air Force, Space Force, whatever it is. And having that kind of relationship was just genuine. So it was like a conversation more than it was me
Yeah.
speaking against everything. Then again, I didn't really show any of the speech part. But it was fun, and I was just drowning in like conversation with so many veterans in that ceremony, and then in other places as well. Like there's just something about like Veterans Day and or Marine Corps birthday that just kind of sparks. It's like Christmas or the holidays for most
Yeah.
people, like on that day where you just say happy holidays, Merry Christmas, or whatever you celebrate. It's just like a good day, just to have a good day. And then
You
when you
get
see another veteran, it's like high five, happy
Yeah,
Veterans Day, go get that
Good
Applebee's,
vibes, yeah.
that type of thing. So it's one of those. It's one of those days. So I enjoyed it. It was a lot different from previous years. I also had that veteran stream, which was really interesting because a lot of people came back at me like, this is not my kind of scene.
Really?
Well, because it's like you put veterans together and we just go off. Like Josh
Yeah,
was
I mean-
saying, not this Josh, Josh Bill stuff. Like he was saying how the conversation would go like up and then down
Oh
in
yeah,
like a
yeah.
second, and then go back up again. Like I mean, that's just how we are. I didn't really realize that was happening until I replayed some of it, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. That's how we talk.
Yeah,
I
it
should have
did hit some.
pre-warned everybody about that. Saying that we just said a lot of bad things on there.
I thought
Was
it
this a
I
Lego
mean,
stream or just kind of a general?
It was a Lego stream. Every year I do a
Okay.
Veterans Day stream. Sometimes there's veterans on it, sometimes there's not. But this time around, I thought it'd be best if I get like people within like the veteran Lego community together that I know are comfortable being in front of a screen. 'Cause the hard part is just kind of pulling them out of their little circles. So it was a good 2 hours of conversation that just didn't go stale. at least in my eyes. Like the conversation kept going, the trash talking kept going, the stories came out, there was emotions going everywhere. It was like
That's what I liked. Yeah, it was real.
It was very well rounded as far as where we could go, which is typical when you get veterans together, like in general, like just not just in front of a camera, but like when you put like four of us in a circle, that's exactly the type of conversation that would happen. So it was interesting to show people within the Lego community that aspect of veterans, and like to see how they would react to that, because the reactions that I got were the same, like with my friends who are not in the military would react to those conversations, which is definitely, there's like a barrier to entry as far as like understanding, but like it was still fun to kind of play with as a live stream.
I'd like that. I don't know. That's my kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, you go that way too, so you get it. But aside from that, we have a guest. His name is Joshua. He does a lot of interaction with the community and or Lego themselves. He is really good at interviewing everyone, literally everybody. I don't know who he hasn't spoken to at this point, or anyone out there who's not seen a Beyond the Brick video. But like all of this started somewhere. And yeah, Joshua, can you tell us how this started and became what Boone told me was a well-oiled machine?
Is that what Boone said? Oh, that's very nice.
I met Boone like 2 years ago. He came into my store, and then we were talking about, because I didn't know Boone had his own channel. I recognized it from Beyond the Brick. That's usually where I saw him. And then I'm like, hey. And then we had a conversation, and he was pretty much complimenting how your channel, your brand is like the way you meticulously do things for your brand and channel is like a well-oiled machine. And it's always stuck with me on like the hard work you put into it and like the type of variables you place in front of you to be able to succeed in what you're doing. So it's kind of nice to actually like see you talk about that. So let's dive into it. Let's start from the very beginning. Like where did this all start, and then how did it get to where it is today?
For sure. And right off the bat, I'll mention, so a lot of the credit for being a well-oiled machine goes to my brother, John, who doesn't like being in front of the camera too much. He typically stays behind the scenes. If people watch like our quarantine cast or that sort of thing, then they would have heard us maybe talk about him a little more. But if you just watch our convention videos, then most of our viewers aren't even aware of what John does. But he certainly does a lot of that stuff, especially from like a business producer perspective behind the scenes, that it keeps everything going. So a lot of the credit goes to him, and throughout our whole story, he certainly has been working very, very hard to get us to where we are today. But this week really is like a good time to be talking about this, because November 11th was the 10-year anniversary of our first episode ever. So our first podcast episode ever, which was called A Look at Lego, actually, when we first started, was posted November 11th of 2011 now. So yeah, it's been a long time. I was 15 years old at the time when we recorded the first episode.
And now you got a better beard than me.
So a few things have changed.
Right.
Yeah, it's were you guys just as professional back then, or was it like I can't imagine what that You
don't have to imagine, it's still out there. It's very cringy.
Oh, really? You guys never took that content down?
No, we haven't taken anything down. So you can find, you can track down the old like audio only podcast episodes. That takes a little more digging because it was on like a podcast network that we were a part of. But then even our very early video episodes with the old like Google Hangouts, Google Plus stuff that we used many years ago. Yeah, it was Google a long time ago. That's all out there. You can see those, and there's definitely some moments that I probably regret looking at that. But we didn't want to take any of it down because we figured just leave it up there, and it kind of captures that full history of what we've done at Beyond the Brick. But to your point about being professionals, so John in particular, he comes from like a TV news background. So he worked as a producer in a couple different TV stations in like South Bend and then Indianapolis area here in Indiana. And so I think our channel from that kind of influence has always had more of like a professional approach to a lot of what we do than maybe like your typical YouTuber might. Just, like wearing the red polos to conventions and that sort of thing. Just a lot of different things. So I think a lot of that is influenced just from especially kind of John's background before we started really like going full time with YouTube.
Shout out to John, the producer.
Right.
That's right.
So what brought you to like the convention mode, as far as like sharing everybody's mocks? That's one thing that a lot of people know about your channel is seeing all these beautiful creations from different artists from around the world at this point, because now you travel literally everywhere. Except for the West Coast.
So sometimes we don't make it out there. We don't make it out there real often. I'll actually be out there in a few weeks here, though. Actually, but not for Lego. I'll be out there in the for a pickleball tournament. Actually, so I don't know if you've heard. Have you heard us talk about this on any of the streams at all? It became like a joke with Brian on the quarantine cast, but John and I both play a lot of pickleball, which is a sport similar to tennis. If people haven't heard of it, and the Nationals, which is like the big tournament for the country, takes place in California. So I'm going out there with my family, and we're playing different days in the tournament here in like middle of December. So not Lego related, but I will be out there. But
that sounds really fun.
It is. It's a super fun sport. I highly recommend. It's very popular now, so there's probably courts wherever you live. And when watching this, you could probably find people to play it with somewhere. But we don't make it out to California real often, just because we are in Indiana, so it's much easier to do like Midwest and East Coast shows for us that we can drive to all those. If we can drive in a day somewhere, then we do. So our main West Coast show that we cover every year is Brikx Cascade. Portland has kind of become the big one for us, and the one that I would definitely recommend people checking out over there.
Oh yeah, I think that is the big one for the West Coast. Is Cascade.
Yeah. I think it certainly has. It's been really cool to see that kind of grow over the years.
So that's what I was going to add on to. Like, you guys don't really come out here because all the bigger shows are more towards the east. And like Midwest,
for the most part, Brick World Chicago and Brick Fair Virginia are like the two biggest in the country, and that's Chicago and Washington D.C. The other Brick World and Brick Fair shows, there's some decent sized ones there as well. So a lot of the shows just happen in the Midwest and East Coast. There is like Brick Rodeo now down in Texas. That's a great show.
That's right. Yep.
And you go like overseas too, right?
We do, yeah. So we in 2019 we actually went to all 7 continents in 1 year. So we had shows in various places. Like we were in Australia for shows, we were in Europe, we were in South America for a show, and then we also just kind of were doing general travel along with those trips as well.
In Antarctica.
That's right. We did go to Antarctica. We brought some Lego. Played with the penguins a little bit down there. So we have a video on the channel of us bringing some Lego there. But doing international stuff when it wasn't our full-time job until like spring of 2017 is when we went full-time, and when we went full-time with YouTube is when we really wanted to start doing a lot more international shows. And ever since then, we've just kind of done it as much as we can, and tried to cover shows as much as possible, and made it to most parts of the world in terms of where Lego fans are based. There's still a few places we haven't made it to yet. South Africa is one of those places where there's a fairly big community. We haven't been able to make it there yet.
Is there one in Asia?
There's the Japan Brickfest show. So that's the big show that's kind of in Asia. That's in Japan. There is some smaller shows in like China, Singapore, like South Korea. There are some shows there, but as far as like real like community oriented in terms of what brings people from other parts of the world, the Japan Brickfest show is kind of the big one there. That's one of the certified community shows. I forget what the exact name Lego has for those is. Like the one in Portugal show as well is similar.
Well, with like the new headquarters in Singapore is that right? Singapore? For Lego?
That sounds right. I think I've heard that.
I'm sure like more larger conventions with the popularity of Lego will suffice or surface up in like the next couple of years. So that should give you a good excuse to go to Asia. And
no, we'd definitely like to do more travel over in that part of the world. And I know China is like a massively emerging market for Lego with the number of stores, like opening hundreds of stores every year there. Just been insane. So I think you'll definitely see a lot more shows over there. But going back, I don't think I ever really answered your question you asked earlier about how we got into conventions, so I'll circle back around to that. Sorry, it's very easy to get going in like lots of different directions.
No, go wherever you want. It's all good.
So as far as like our own journey into getting into conventions, so we started as I said, the podcast in 2011, and that was audio only at that point. For the first few months, we only covered news, and then kind of transitioned into talking with guests because we realized that's kind of what people were more interested in. There's a lot of blogs and lots of places you could get news from, even that many years ago. Nowadays, it's there's just everywhere. But even back then, you had Brikfest and Brothers Brick and places. So we were like, well, we'll start interviewing people more. I think that's kind of a more interesting angle to take with the community. And as we were chatting with these people, people started talking to us more about conventions. And when I heard about Brick World Chicago, which is only a couple hours from where I live here in Northern Indiana, I thought this is perfect opportunity. It's one of the biggest shows in the country. Why not go over there and try to record some videos in person at a convention and kind of see how that goes. So we did. We showed up. We were just there on the public days, just walked around. We didn't know anyone at all at the show. We just walked up to people and said, will you talk to us about your creation? And everyone was very nice. Lots of people were willing to chat with us. And that's when we got our first kind of convention content. We recorded a Great Ball Contraption video there at our very first show, which was our most popular video and continues to be our most popular genre of videos on Beyond the Brick, even 10 years later. Yeah. So we kind of lucked into recording one of those at our very first show. So we realized like how popular those videos can be.
It's something so like simple yet complicated. Like it's one of those things you just get lost in watching.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think it's very calming.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's what
Very
people tell
satisfying.
us. Yeah, and then especially we have a lot of parents tell us their kids love them. Like their kids will just watch it like the same video again and again and again, like 10 times in a row.
Some of those modules are crazy though. Like the techniques that go into them, and it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, like what Akiyuki does. Some of the different, not just the American GBC builders, but builders all over the world. Just really really incredible stuff.
I love it when they collab with each other. Kind of, I would say like meaningful in a way because it's like it's a way to show creativity, but like in unison and like with one specific goal with getting your ball to the other spot and just to keep it going. Just keep it going.
Is it wrong that I like seeing them jam up and watching the balls go everywhere?
I mean, everyone loves chaos, you know.
Yeah,
who doesn't like seeing things fall apart?
Yeah, who doesn't like a drop test too, right?
Why is this going so smooth? Can we?
But yeah, they work so hard. Like I've always said that they're the hardest working builders at a convention. I mean, it can be tiring for everyone if you're there by your build and talking with the public. But the GBC builders are on a next level with the amount of effort. If they're an 8-hour public day session 2 days in a row, and they're just having to man that basically that entire time. Multiple people making sure that things are running smoothly. It's really amazing. So not only the work it takes, the skill and work it takes to build all those, but then to keep it running at a show is incredible.
I've only seen one like big one once, and it wasn't even that big. But like the ones that are out there are pretty mind blowing.
Yeah. Again, the big ones are at like Brick World and Brick Fair shows because that's where the GBC community really started and has grown at. So the West Coast shows in particular tend to have much smaller GBC showings. Yeah, which is a shame. I wish there was more out there, but hopefully people continue to become interested in it and it'll continue to grow. But like Brick World Chicago and Brick Fair Virginia are where the two like records kind of get broken in terms of most modules at one show.
That's where I saw it this year. I went to Brick Fair. It's crazy how it's like, and it's super active and it's super loud. Like you can't like try to vlog at Brick Fair Virginia and you'll get like GBC in the background of anything. Motors, also like, it's just, it's really fun. I was really impressed by the whole thing. Yeah. It was much cooler in person. I can tell you that.
Yeah, no, obviously I appreciate people watching our videos, but if you can check it out in person because so you catch on to all of the camera can only show so much. So all the intricacies of the movement of everything and the way that you can even there'll be people I've noticed that stand there and follow one ball around the entire thing. So they move with it and watch as the ball completes the circuit.
It's really fun. And there's always a million people around it. Like it's a lot of fun.
It's just like I said before, it's like one of those things just like it's very satisfying to watch. It's working smoothly.
But you can say that like about a lot of the Beyond the Brick videos. They're like
if they work properly, then it's satisfying.
Right. Yeah, no, it's like no, but they're really calming. Like, it's you guys going through and talking to people. I don't know. They're like the cat videos in like the best way of the Lego community. You know, it's like, and I mean this in like the biggest compliment. By the way, I didn't make that up. But still, like.
No, that's so. Our goal has always been to we've never wanted to go the direction of like what you might call kind of what I've always thought of as like the stereotypical YouTuber thing, which is like a lot of jump cuts, like heavily edited, you know, sound effects, whatever it might be, just kind of like over the top excitement. There's certainly a place for that, and depending on like the type of content you make, there's no problem with that. But that was definitely never our goal. It's always been much more conversational. We always wanted to feel like basically you're at the show and you just walked up and started talking to this person yourself, essentially. That's kind of the vibe that we want to the viewer to get from our videos. And so based on the feedback we get, I think we accomplished that at least most of the time. I think that's the idea that people get, and that's certainly always been my goal.
Yeah, no, you definitely do that. You know how many times I look at the screen, I'm like, okay, I hope they look at the back of it. Okay, they're looking at the back of it. All right, ask them about that little okay, they're asking about that little piece. What's the significance of the historical value? Like you asked all the questions that I guess most viewers would ask, especially the military ones. But like especially those, because I'm always diving deep in the accuracy of that stuff. But one thing that you do is that you kind of showcase different like sections of different Lego communities, and you showcase them equally. It's not like you're favoring one side or the other, like you know, whether it be castle, you know, vintage.
Yeah, there's like, so many different,
so many out there. Yeah, and like it's kind of sad to say that we're not linked in a way. Like we all have our like little niches, kind of, unless you're like a group like YouTube, like we all kind of know each other. But like if you go outside of the YouTube world, like you have a lot of like, you know, the lugs are kind of stuck together, Star Wars are stuck together, Castle's stuck together, and you know, the conventions kind of do this on purpose, and it makes sense why they would keep it in theme. But like when you go to some places, like you see in some conventions, like some areas are more like kind of pushed to the side over the others, but you don't like ignore those when you go to conventions. Like you actually show like every single thing. I remember is the Virginia videos where you literally record the whole thing when everyone's gone.
Yeah. So at Brick Fair Virginia and Brick World Chicago every year we do full tour videos, which in recent years those shows have gotten so big they're usually in like the 3 to 4 hour range of just walking around the entire convention hall and talking about the builds. But those are so much fun, not only because I know viewers appreciate it and they like feeling like they're kind of walking around the whole convention as well. Exactly. But there's so much that if you're just kind of wandering the hall, you're going to miss. So by actually like walking through every single aisle and by every single table and talking about it and showing it on the video, you see so many cool things you would have missed otherwise. So we don't do those at every show just because they take a lot of time and depending on what we have time for. But Brick World and Brick Fair are the two where we make sure to do it every year.
Well, I think it's really cool because you're also like record keeping in a way of like, and it would be really cool to go through and like, you know, the years that you've done it to see how those shows have grown. And anyway, but that was cool. I remember seeing you guys like walking around everyone was quiet. Everyone was either like relaxing or socializing or having dinner, and you guys are working, like straight up working.
That's right. Yeah, no, if you see us at a show, we're usually recording a video or doing some type of work, especially on the public days. But yeah, I mean, we certainly go like full bore whenever we're at any convention because our goal is to record as much content as possible while we're there. So, and people will sometimes ask us like, you know, is that enjoyable for us? Because for most builders, the enjoyment is just kind of like going and showing off a build or hanging out with builders. But that I genuinely enjoy like the opportunity to chat with so many builders, and then knowing, as you pointed out, Claire, that there is like the aspect of preserving someone's build and that sort of thing. That, you know, because a lot of these builds will be just destroyed when they get home. So without a video on it, nobody would ever see that again.
Right.
It's like a tree falling, you know, that video. You keeping the community alive, you know, or like remembered.
Quite literally. It also shows, it shares ideas. It shares like what has someone done, how do I one up that one, how do I make mine better. It shows people like what could you do, what can be done, especially people who are just casual Lego fans or, you know, very like whatever about it, especially parents, you know.
Well, I think what's really cool about it is like if someone like Googles or YouTube like sticks like YouTube into YouTube Lego, they're gonna get you guys, Jang, Ryan, Justin, you know what I mean, like the top. Easy. The big channels, right? But those guys are just doing like more normal, like typical like review videos of like sets that you can buy on shelves, while you guys are showing, you know what I mean, like this entire other world, and this entire, not just like the AFOL like side of things, but also like the creative outlet that it can be outside of just like building sets as they are, which is like really cool. And then even some people at conventions will have just like the full collection of like all the pirate sets that are all the pirate ships that have ever been, you know what I mean? Or like all the space sets and stuff like that. And you show that. And so it shows like some history with it. So I think there's like, I think you hold people's hand when they're coming through into the Lego community as well, like right at the beginning, you know, which is really a good thing.
I didn't really think about that until you said that, Claire. Like you definitely, in comparison to the like to a lot of YouTubers, like you put a face behind someone that is not normally on camera, so you get to actually see people within the community who had no intention about being in front of camera. So it's more real in that way, a form of reporting that is pretty unique.
Right. And our goal has always been very much to have the builders at the forefront of the videos. So there's a lot of our videos where you might never see me, or like you just very briefly see me at the beginning or something like that. The builder has always been the focus, in kind of letting them get their perspective out there and kind of their inspiration and how they did the build. That's always been our goal, which then is kind of funny because a lot of people then they don't so much recognize me by like what I look like, but they'll recognize my voice. And so I've had multiple times where I'm walking around a convention, like chatting with someone, and then like someone walking by will stop and like turn around and be like, "Oh, I recognize that voice." So
it's very distinctive.
It always cracks me up when someone says that.
Guess you and Jang have that in common.
Oh, I wish I was on Jang's level. You know, I think he's next tier with that, but I do my best.
So like, how do you choose if you were to choose or limit yourself in what you can actually record at a convention? Like, what would it take for you to record someone's mock?
So at this point, 10 years in now, we've really gotten pretty good at identifying what is going to perform well on YouTube for the most part. And so a lot of what we do when we walk into a convention will typically show up on the non-public days, so we'll have time to walk around and kind of check everything out before the public comes in. We're looking for those builds that primarily we think will perform well online. And that doesn't always equate to what is kind of technically the best build at the show, or what the AFOLs might consider maybe the best build at the show. We do cover that stuff as well. But our number one priority is usually kind of what do we think is going to be popular online, because at the end of the day, we need to make sure we're putting stuff out that gets views so we can keep doing what we're doing.
Exactly.
So that stuff is, as we were talking about with Great Ball Contraption, the GBC videos, we always, anytime there's a GBC, we try to record one of those. Star Wars stuff tends to always perform really well, especially anything of any size that's Star Wars, anything that has movement with Star Wars, that sort of thing. Or an interior. So like if there's a lot of people build like the classic spaceships from Star Wars, but if they build them with like actual interiors, that tends to do really, really well, and people love that kind of stuff. So we do a lot of Star Wars on the channel, and then military stuff as well. That not only tends to perform well, I just like personally have a big interest in that. Sometimes I feel like maybe we like go overboard with the military stuff.
You're good. Keep going.
Because it is, I mean, it does tend to be popular, and then I also have such a strong personal interest in it. So I try to make sure we still balance that out with other content. But really, like Star Wars, GBC, and military are the three like big genres of content that, like as a rule, tends to perform well. And then anything kind of anything with movement, anything with like a lot of technical movement and stuff can do well too, along the lines of GBC, that idea.
Yeah. I mean, I would also like add to like whatever can take your breath away from a distance. Like very something that's eye catching from further away that would draw you in. I think that's like, because one of those things. I've seen a lot of your videos that are like, oh, dude, that's cool. Like, hey, like no matter where it is in that room, it's gonna draw attention, right? To those sets. So that makes perfect sense. I mean, so anyone who's listening to this right now, if you want your stuff to be featured on Beyond the Break, there are your variables right there to be on.
As far as you want that gold brick.
That's what you do.
That motors brick.
Who I think it was Martin Harris. Are you familiar with him? Great builder. Exactly. I couldn't remember what his name online was. He asked me one time, we were talking recently, I think it was actually Brick Fair, Virginia, like what should I build? Like what do you guys want to cover? And I was like, you need to build a military-themed GBC module, and that will get all the views. just do that, and that'll cover all of the bases.
Military. Wow.
How did what's it called? Didn't you did his Peach's Castle this year, right? I think
we did. Yes.
Yeah.
Brian, actually, I let Brian do that video because I knew how excited he was about it.
That's
I was
the personal.
Yeah. I was like, there's no way I could ever encapsulate all of the awesomeness of this. So I'm going to let Brian do this, because I think Martin had said Brian like inspired a lot of that, and he got and kind of pushed him to build it. So it was really cool that Brian was able to see that in person and then be in that video. And it was a very cool build to see in person, even as I'm very much just like a casual Mario fan, certainly compared to Brian. So I still thought it was cool. I think the colors were what really made it stand out. Obviously, compared to a normal castle. The size and the colors.
Very cool.
It was just fun watching Brian be a kid. Like having something something he really wants Lego to do in front of him, although it's not what Lego did, but it's still Lego, and it's something that he loves and very passionate about. So just seeing him talk about it and like ask the questions, like that was a perfect choice. Well done. So
thank you. Yes, it was an easy decision. A big part of our goal, as I mentioned earlier, with having the builders at the forefront, is also with our contributors and anybody who makes videos for Beyond the Brick, is really letting them kind of live out what they're passionate about in their fandoms. So with Brian, obviously, like Mario's a big thing, so he's made all the videos for us on the different Mario sets and that sort of thing. And whoever it might be with the different things they're interested in. So like Kirk, if you've seen any of his videos on the channel, like he made the one on when the Ghostbusters Ecto-1 came out, he's really into like 80s stuff and that sort
all
of thing.
All the 80s stuff.
So John and I love when we can, kind of like connect our different contributors up with things that they're passionate about, and then it's kind of a win-win for everyone.
Yeah, I love that. I love that Kirk is obsessed with the 80s. It's hilarious. I don't even think he was alive in the 80s.
He was not. He's younger than I am.
Yeah, it is really funny. And then
great. We need more people like that.
I'm like watching through all the Home Alone references. I'm like, were you alive during this movie?
No.
Hey, as long as his references are right, it doesn't matter if he was there.
It was well done.
We cannot gatekeep the 80s.
Yes,
that's right. I think he was born in the 2000s, actually. I don't think he was born in the
90s. Yeah. Shy. He's just dead.
He knows more about the 80s than I do. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
Shout out to Kirk.
Shout out, bro.
Shout out to You're the Tiger.
The geek effect.
Yeah, 86. So we touched on this a little bit. Like, you are a record keeper for the Lego community. That's essentially what you are. But what is your education background?
So my undergrad degree in college was in history and archaeology, and then like museum work as well. So like anything that's more sort of hands-on with history is really where a lot of my interest in. And then after that, I got my master's degree in European military history from the University of Birmingham over in England, because that was always like military history has always really interested me, but specifically European history from like the era, sort of a lot of like 19th century, like Napoleon through like the Second World War, in particular, a lot of things to study within that area. There's a lot you can dive into there. But that's always been kind of my main area of interest. And so I studied that in school. And then when John and I have traveled to Europe for Lego shows, we always try to visit as many historical sites as possible, which has been a really amazing kind of side effect of all the Lego travel that we do, is being able to see all these incredible places.
Kill two birds with one stone. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, definitely travel. That's for sure.
We do. Really, yeah. I mean, it's been great though, and the fans we get to interact with through our travel is really incredible. We've done a lot of fan meetups in different cities, and people are so nice to us, and just like inviting us into their homes sometimes, or just showing us around the cities where they live. We're very trusting, both of us. We probably do things. We'll just like meet random people in a foreign city for the first time and have like no qualms about going anywhere with them, which maybe is a bad idea.
It's the only way to travel, though. You know, you gotta.
Right. It's worked out for us fine so far.
Yeah. I think the Lego community is pretty trustworthy, I think, as well.
Yeah, right.
I think so.
I like to hope so. The problem is if it gets bigger, statistically speaking, it won't be. But you know.
Yeah.
When we were in China, we even did a meetup with there was one guy in China who met up with us, because technically YouTube is illegal in China, so really no one should be watching our videos there. But a lot of people like illegally, like quote unquote illegally, download them and watch a lot of YouTube there.
Dang.
So there was one guy who came out and showed us around Beijing a little bit when we were there.
And that's a real supporter right there.
Right. He went against the party on that one.
He's like skirting the law to show around these YouTubers.
Right.
Oh my God. I hope you did not record any of that.
Blur his face out. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
Man, definitely get checking your video footage on the way out.
That's hilarious.
That's great. I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, how can you document that?
That's right. Yeah, we did record the video. We did record. We went to the Shanghai Lego offices, which is where Lego has their headquarters for China. We did record a video there, but that was it for Lego stuff in China.
As in, like, you have a very intimate relationship with Lego. You've been to the Lego house, you've been to the vault, you've been to the headquarters. Like, you've seen a lot of behind the scenes Lego.
Too much, more than I should have. Yeah, no, we've been able to build like really good relationships with people in Billund in particular, and a lot of the employees there over the years. Unfortunately, a lot of them are no longer there. But some of the people in the early years that were kind of supporters of ours when we were just a really small show, and as we grew over the years, that then when we finally were able to make it over to Denmark, were super welcoming and willing to show us around, like the vault. And Lego House and the private museums and things there. So just open those up to us and let us create content there, and obviously then bring it to the rest of the world. So I've always been super appreciative of all the Lego employees over the years who have given us those opportunities, and we try to do our best to kind of build those relationships whenever we can.
Yeah, and one of my favorite videos are of the Lego house that you've done, and the vault, like looking at all those cool things, places that I don't have no access to. Yeah, I mean that's so cool. Like, the behind the scenes stuff is really good to see. So thanks for bringing that to the world, for sure.
Our vault videos have always gotten a really good response, because Lego House, if you can, obviously it's not super easy to just travel to Denmark, but if you travel to Denmark, then anyone can go in the Lego House. But the vault is a lot harder to access. So that's something, anytime we've had like an extra day in Denmark, we're reaching out to everybody over there like, hey, can we get in the vault? Can we record content? And typically we can find somebody who will let us in. They have like their sort of like curators, historians over there who kind of control all that. So if you can get one of them to work with you, then it usually works out.
Nice.
I can go there and be like, hey, I know Joshua Hanlon. So
Joshua Hanlon.
Oh, my bad.
Try that. Give it a shot and see what they say.
I'll be like, hey,
show them this episode.
Can I see the vault? Just one aisle. Just one aisle. Just let me see one aisle.
If you picked one aisle, which aisle would you pick?
Western, wherever Western's at. So the first round of Western. So 96, 5.
There we go. I see we have another man of culture in this stream. So Western is my all-time favorite theme as well, because that's what I grew up
man
with.
Of culture.
What, man? Fort Legoredo is my favorite set.
I know.
Right.
I know it is.
Yeah, did you watch the video Kevin Hinkle and I made? There was somebody at Brickfest, Alabama with all of the Western sets. We spent like 45 minutes just talking about every single one.
Yes.
Why it's such an amazing theme.
That video was bad for my wallet. This is why.
Man. Yeah.
I lost all my Lego. For most people, a lot of people know this. I lost all my Lego when I went to Iraq. I lost it all. Like all it was with all my stuff I put in storage. I lost my storage unit. That one. So that's how I got out of Lego. So that video, once I saw that video, I was already back into the Lego game. But when I saw that video, I literally went hunting on eBay for like the next couple months.
Yeah,
trying to collect every single set. Like I got like Fort Legoredo, I got the gold junction, right? That's the one with the bank. The sheriff's office. I still need the hideout. Like I'm still to this day trying to collect every single one of them. I'm almost there. But
you even dabbled into the AFOL designer.
I got the Western.
The saloon?
I got the saloon. Yeah. And like it's just that video.
I'm glad that really warms my heart to know what we've done to you.
My wife doesn't like it, but I'm just saying.
I was gonna say Venus is a big supporter.
Venus is not happy about that. But Fort Legoredo was a very, very special set to me, and like it was. I remember asking my dad for that set. I remember specifically because when I was a kid, although I didn't really see my dad a lot, he would say, "What do you want Santa to get you for Christmas, name 5 things. And one of them was that, and he got it for me. And even though this is, as a kid, this thing's pretty big, right? As far as a Lego set's concerned, I took it everywhere because you could fold up the thing, the box. So I would literally just take it wherever I was being babysat for that day.
It's like this big. It's as big as the Vikings one. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So I'd carry it like this little hunk.
Take that instead of a backpack.
Yeah, and just take it everywhere and just play last stand for anything I can come up with. You know what I mean? Because it's like a last stand type of type of deal. So you can like go to town with imagination. So like it's one of my favorite coveted sets, which I now have in my possession. I'm happy that I have it again.
Right.
I'm just to say. But speaking of military Lego,
yes,
I am really heavy into the military Lego for obvious reasons. We are both really good friends with Brickmania, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You love military Lego.
I
covered
do,
a lot. It's you just admitted it right here in front of everybody. So, do you think Lego should or should not do Lego military sets?
Oh yeah, this is the big question, isn't it? I mean, from a personal perspective, and as someone who appreciates our sponsorship from Brickmania, not wanting to see them go out of business, I'm going to say they should not.
Nicely worded.
Dan, you heard it right here.
That was excellent.
Breaching the contract. That's right.
Wow, what a.
I think from an educational perspective, I think it'd be really neat to see them go more into some of those areas, even if it was like ancient Greek and like Roman sets with like more of like those types of figures and that era. It wouldn't even have to be like modern military things necessarily. I think there's a lot of value in that just from an educational perspective of
agreed
kids,
completely.
Right, yeah,
100%.
Kids getting interested.
Yeah. And it's also like fundamental human history that like you can't pretend like it doesn't exist. Exactly. And I understand that like Lego doesn't necessarily need to be the resource for your entire education, circle or whatever it is that you're doing, but it is for a lot of people. And I feel the same way, especially about architecture things, like from a religious perspective. Like there's a lot of churches that are significant pinpoints of architectural change, history, shifts, strategies, styles that are like, that's where the money was funneled for so many years. And you can't just like ignore like Notre Dame or, Sagrada Familia. Like these things like are encapsulate human history, and it's just because it's like not within brand values. It's kind of wacky, but I get it. I guess sort of. I'm trying
for a change. No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like whenever I post those videos about like what would people think about military Lego, and you get the the pros and cons, and I get both sides. Like I do understand that why would Lego create an enemy? Because ultimately you need an enemy, right? That's you need a bad guy.
I don't think so.
Well, I mean,
I don't.
That's
what do you mean? Like with cops
play,
and robbers?
Yeah, kids need a bad guy.
I mean, they still have criminals in the Lego sets, so
yeah. I was gonna say that. I'm gonna say that right now. If you look at modern history, as far as like what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan, I don't think it would be entirely appropriate to have someone of that enemy sort going against. So that makes sense. I do understand that, but at the same time, and I've mentioned it before, like a lot of Lego fans are military themselves. Right, we come to the Lego world to help cope with whatever's going on with them, and it is in the United States, and I'm sure across the world, it's a profession to be in the military. It's not just some knock job you do when you can't figure out what to do. Right. It's a legitimate profession where people spend and retire their lives into. So children cannot create their idols, their parents out of Lego. Outside in job description, like they can make them in civilian format, but like they can't make them like a doctor. They can't turn them into an engineer, a computer programmer, or a robber or criminal, like in City. Like they can't do any of that. And and I didn't come up with that idea. A child gave me that idea. Like a kid gave me that idea. I'm like, oh, you're right. I can't create your parents out of this. So it's not a foreign thing that Lego hasn't done military before, because they have. We have the camel, the Fokker. They have the Queen's Guard. What are they called? The
Buckingham Palace Guard type.
Yes,
of
them. Yeah,
okay,
that's modern military still, because it's a minifig. The whole Osprey thing.
Well, I think what would be cool is like if I think their like brand values are very much like even though like Star Wars has like killing and stuff like that, and same with Harry Potter, it's still like in the fantastical world. So if there was like a way to like have that, you know what I mean? Like, and I think Indiana Jones was like a great opportunity for that. And I think it'd be interesting. And like Vikings is also like a really good opportunity for that. And the Colosseum was one, like the minifigures to go along with that would have been really cool. I think that would be really interesting.
Yeah, no, I was thinking in terms of, so when my rebuttal to people that were telling me about like you need to have a bad guy was, well, you can make modern military be fantasy. It doesn't have to have legitimacy as far as an enemy is concerned, like the Taliban or.
I mean, that's like what Quentin Tarantino did.
Yes.
Like Inglourious Bastards is.
Yeah, it's fantasy, but ultimately in that movie there was historical enemies there. So
yeah, I mean it's historical fiction is what it's called. Yeah.
So, but like as far as like if you want to do modern military, you could have it fighting aliens like in Independence Day or Battlefield Los Angeles. You could have straight realistic military fighting, something that is not.
What if?
But I guess you could say like, is Marvel the equivalent to it? Aren't they our like fantastical equivalent of superheroes? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, where would you draw the line there if you were trying to like base it off of some real life military thing, but not make it to real life? I feel like that'd be very difficult. You either kind of have to like avoid it totally, or just do it in how it should be done. But to try to like skim that line.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of weird though, because like they could just release like the vehicle with the figs. They don't have to make it like fighting other people.
That is true.
Like
no, but it's like you have to understand that like we live in the United States where like our perception of military is like very different. The amount of money that we put our budget to the military and like the infrastructure that we have here is set up in a very different way than it is in a lot of other countries, particularly Denmark. So, and a lot of people live in those countries because of that belief and based on their politics and like, what they want their tax dollars to go to. So we have to like also respect that, you know what I mean? So
a large chunk of that money goes back into Lego. Because it's just social economics, right? We put a lot of money into the military, a lot of that funnels down. I just do that out there, right? Dang. Kids buy it, like like a lot of people in science buy it, engineers buy it, NASA buys it. Like NASA's they sponsor the military. That's a big chunk of the military budget goes into that.
The Lego perspective on it though, I think does make sense as you think about more of like the way that like war has impacted European culture a lot more than the US. So like if you think about Germany was the biggest market for Lego for many decades, probably until like the 2000s, like early 2000s, maybe. I forget when exactly it became the US, but for a very, very long time, Germany was their biggest market. And think about what Germany went through with like the world wars that were like fought on their soil. So like it's very understandable why someone in like France or Germany or Denmark would have a much stronger reaction to the thought of making a kit based on the world wars than in America.
The entire infrastructure of Berlin with all of the monuments and the way that it's set up is like an apology letter. You know what I mean? It's like, and there's still, you go into like Budapest and you can quite physically still see war-torn situations and like, buildings that are still have ash all over them, while the only thing that we can think of in our recent history is like 9/11, when we actually had war like here on our soil, and it was nowhere near in comparison to the like multiple years of turmoil.
Yeah, we are into that.
True. It's insensitive. It's absolutely insensitive.
Well, we don't know what that's like. A lot of people.
No, we do not. No, it's a problem over there. Those people that we don't really understand. It's those like that's how a lot of Americans think. It's like anyway.
So I kind of like the balance actually that the community and Lego the company has reached in terms of you've got Lego does their thing, and then you've got companies like Brickmania and BrickArms and whatever other company that makes stuff related to that. Exactly. And I think then they have free reign. They can do whatever they want. Obviously, Brickmania gets licenses for a lot of their kits from the companies they work with, so they work within those constraints. But they don't then have to worry about competing with Lego on making a certain plane or tank model or something So I think it's actually kind of a nice sort of equilibrium, I guess, that the community has reached over the years.
Yeah. And it also makes it so that it's like possible for people to like work within the Lego world and not necessarily move to Billund. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So,
yeah. That's one thing I do enjoy, because a piece of me, although would like, the main thing for me is just being acknowledged that there is a Lego community that's like full of veterans that I feel like Lego hasn't really voiced or seen or shown. Maybe that's like the draw for me specifically, which is fine. I get that. I get that in other places. I don't really need it from Lego themselves, but like I do see what you guys are saying. Like Brickmania, like I'm a huge fan of Brickmania. We all know that. Any other military Lego company, for the most part, I'm a fan of. Like there's something about what they do to make it more as accurate as possible, where I know Lego wouldn't really play that unless it's like a UCS set. So I feel like if Lego were to do that, it would disappoint in some ways more than not. Maybe it was because I got hurt because of the Osprey, like the outpour of like that issue.
Almost there.
Because it was almost there, and it wasn't even like a military made vehicle, even though it really is. It's like, okay, cool, we get to acknowledge something, even if it's minute. It doesn't really showcase what it really is. It's something, and then it's got pulled out of the rug. So I was just like, oh, okay. So we're going back and forth with what they think is appropriate or not as far as military is concerned, because we've seen it in every other example that they've done in the past with Indiana Jones and or their their World War I sets. So it's like it's a hit or miss as far as what they really think. I mean, like it's just inconsistent in my eyes.
What if Lego didn't do military vehicles and they did like CMFs?
That would be a perfect thing. No, that's in dress uniform. That's pretty much it. You can make a fantasy dress uniform that looks close enough to pretty much everything, and that would work. Just like the the Queen's Guard. That's just a perfect example of that. So.
I mean, anything like that would be so controversial. I just don't ever see them. I mean, it doesn't matter like how much they try to smooth it over. Yeah, I think it'd just be so.
Someone will mess that up.
Oh, definitely.
Someone will call it out and I'll be like,
especially
from a PR perspective. Yeah.
What
was that?
I said, especially these days with the internet and stuff, like it's going to be everywhere.
But at least we have Brickmania. We have, they cover a lot of the eras of kits, and they're even doing like Roman stuff now and things. Something that I'd love to see Lego do more of. So fortunately, they're continuing to expand. They also have 30-foot long aircraft carriers. So if that's something you want to build, you can also.
Yeah, if you want to spend your entire annual salary, please go ahead.
Yeah. Right. The Macon Island. I still need to see that thing.
It's great. That. Let's see. It was on display at Brick Fair, Virginia this year. That's where we recorded our video on it.
Yeah. So, but it's not done yet. It's almost there.
Well, see those projects with Dan and the team. Are they ever totally completed? They're always tiling. They're always doing something. No. It's like every time we see them, it's
something new, something different,
something new that needs added. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, obviously they get the majority of it done, and they kind of start touring around with it. I think is their goal.
Come on, Dan, open up something in the West Coast.
Yeah, they don't have any stores out there, do they? No. Yeah,
no.
I think they've talked about it. So,
I've been telling them to do it in San Diego. That'll be the best place for it.
There's a huge military, big community there. Yeah, active and retired. Yeah,
Pendleton's right there. Like that's a perfect place. The port's right there. The ship's docked there, so you'll see the USS Macon Island there. So it's like
it's not too far from me. I got your back, Shy.
Exactly right. I could drive there within 2 hours. I'm totally happy with that.
But what I think we do need more military of as well in the Lego community. So like World War II is really well represented. If anyone's watching this and like builds military mocks, I would love to see more builds from the First World War. I think has a lot of potential, and there's very few builds that people do of any size from there. And then also, I love like Napoleonic era builds. So there have been a few really impressive ones that especially like Gary Brooks and some of those guys at Brick Fair, Virginia have done over the years. But more like big army Napoleonic era battles and then like First World War stuff. I think those areas still have a lot of stuff that can be tackled. So the world, go ahead.
They could do some really cool stuff, like when like Napoleon was like coming into like North Africa and stuff like that. You could literally have like the pyramids of Giza and like Napoleon and the British, and that would be really, really cool. Yeah.
It doesn't just have to be the European stuff.
No.
Napoleon
all over the world. Went quite a few places.
He got around.
That's
when you're trying to conquer the world, you've got to do that.
You got to get around.
Wow,
that'd be so cool.
Well, is there anything else anyone wants to bring up? Thank you, Joshua, for coming on this episode. It was
For
it
sure.
was great.
It's been great to chat, and hopefully we'll have the chance to meet up at future conventions sometime.
Yes.
If you're going to shows, I don't know if you guys have anything planned, but we're at most of them, so
We're there. We'll be there.
Most of them.
Yeah, well, Chicago. We'll see you at Chicago.
Yeah.
There we go. Yes, very excited. We have some exciting stuff planned for Chicago this year, or next year, I guess it is now. But yeah, it'll be super cool.
Well, Claire, Ninja, anything? Any last words?
I'm good.
Joshua, you're good?
Nothing.
I think I'm all set. Just thanks for inviting me on the show. Looking forward to seeing more episodes in the future. Hopefully, it continues to run for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And with that being said, roll that music.
I'm streaming in like an hour and 10. You ready to go?
Does you want to say bye?
Yeah, come say bye.
Sans always says bye.
Bye.
That's it? That's it? Really?
Wait, hold on. Let me take it.
Platinum or diamond, Sans?
I have it on the headphones. Hold on.